No, that's super helpful. And look, we've heard about the food dyes from over here. That's something that actually cut through, a lot of the media noise. And it looked like you were getting some compliance, some voluntary phasing out of that by certain companies in America. It looked like some were pushing back. And again, they always compare over here what we've done in the UK and Europe and how surprisingly to most, we have, much cleaner food and we don't have a lot of these toxins. Funny as just a little anecdote, I took my boys to see Grandpa in San Diego, and he rolled out the Cheerios, and they refused to eat them because they said they taste different. Now, I thought they were crazy, but then I started thinking that a lot of these standards are very different in the UK and the US,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I don't think there are dyes in that, but I first said you guys are crazy, and then I said maybe they're not so crazy from the mouths of babes.
So a lot of the oats are also contaminated with glyphosate, by the way,
Right.
because of this desiccant thing.
Okay.
Another key thing, Brian, that is a hot button right now is Bobby is pushing hard because as we were talking in the pre-broadcast, Americans have gotten fat. Diabetes is an epidemic. It's an epidemic in children, diabetes and pre-diabetes. And the intake of highly processed sugar is a major contributor to that. And yet the USDA historically through the food pyramid has been promoting sugar because there is a major sugar lobby. And in particular, that it's the sugar coming from corn and sugar beets, not even from sugarcane. So sugar is in almost everything. It was probably in those Cheerios that your kids are having, and it's a major contributor to this very significant health crisis that we're facing in the United States, having to do with diabetes. And so you would think, because here in the States we have a Food Subsidy Act program, we call them food stamps or SNAP, special nutrition. And so one of the early things that the president and the secretary did, because they found that they couldn't outright ban the use of high sugar sodas through the SNAP program, but they could do it by getting states to do it. It has to do with states' rights in the United States. So federal government couldn't just blanket say, no more of those high sugar Coca-Colas. But they've worked through the states. And so Bobby has really been pushing, trying to have states no longer allow the food stamp program or the special nutritional supplement be able to be used by the poor to buy high sugar foods, particularly high sugar sodas. Well, who's going to complain about that, right? Well, you know darn well who's going to complain about that. Coca-Cola and the sugar industry, the soda industry. And so this is just to illustrate how US politics works and what's being arrayed against the secretary. What was done was that a series of the beverage industry, quote unquote, set up a series of AstroTurf organizations with very benign sounding names. So for those that aren't familiar with AstroTurf, these are fake grassroots organizations that were set up by the industry with names that make them sound like they're organic. They're springing directly from the people when in fact they're not, and capitalize these AstroTurf organizations. And they got caught with their pants down, paying conservative influencers $1,000 a tweet to write hate about this position of the secretary. Fortunately, that kind of got killed when it got exposed what was going on, and they had egg in their face, and that kind of got shut down. But that's the ecosystem that's going on here. And despite those headwinds, the secretary is making a lot of progress in getting mostly Republican states to take the position that we have the right, if we're providing supplemental funding, we're basically giving free food to the poor, to say, well, we can't give free crap food, we have to give them free good food.
Investment Club. Today, I consider it the best investment that I've ever made. We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs. Personally, I'm completely blown away by the quality of these projects, and I know of nowhere else where I would be given this same opportunity. Each week that passes, I feel more appreciative of the fact that I'm a member of this group. The vibe was just tremendous. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical, magical. Take action. Don't take my word for it. Due diligence you need to do. And I really hope that someday down the road I see you in the club. It far exceeded expectations, without question.
Seems like that shouldn't be very controversial. Margaret Thatcher is probably rolling over in her grave as we speak as an ex-grocer, even hearing this. But that's the state of the discussion in the United States. And that's a specific target. Right now, it's kind of low-hanging fruit, if you know that metaphor, for the Make America Healthy Again movement, to just try to get these high sugar foods out of the federal subsidy program. And even that is just generating all kinds of grief and resistance, that somehow being able to drink sugary Coca-Cola is protected by the First Amendment in the Constitution. And just to bring it home a little bit to the CDC things that we were talking about before, and an article that is on our Substack from the Midwestern Doctor talking about the chronic CDC corruption. So the CDC has set up a not-for-profit subsidiary called the Foundation for the CDC. It's congressionally approved. Normally, if you, Brian, wanted to write a check, "Dear Donald Trump, I want to send a check to the U.S. Treasury because I'm so concerned about the U.S. debt. Here's $500. No, whatever the number. Okay, you couldn't do that. You're not allowed to donate goodies to the U.S. government, even let alone donate something to Donald Trump. But you can't give funding to the federal government. But Congress, in its wisdom, set up these special slush funds. There's actually even one for the CIA. Hard to believe that. There's one for NIH, there's one for FDA, and there's a big one for CDC, the Foundation for CDC. And the Gates Foundation, all of the major pharmaceuticals, all donate major media, the whole Silicon Valley internet ecosystem, Facebook, etc. They all make major donations to the Foundation for CDC. And the CDC can then use that as a slush fund. But the donors have the ability to kind of direct, I would really like this done with this or that done with that. So one of the big donors is, rimshot, drum roll, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, the ask was, we give you this money, we really want you to try to work on the World Health Organization to get them to lay off their guidance that they're working on having to do with sugar in sodas, which may explain why, just to bring it home and make it all about me, because of course, why not? You'll recall that I went on this little podcast with this unknown guy named Joe Rogan, and it went big. And there was a enormous amount of blowback on Spotify, which pays Joe Rogan a stupid amount of money to do these podcasts, a lot more than you and I make. And Neil Young pulled his catalog off of Spotify, so did Joni Mitchell. Big kerfuffle. Well, there was a congressional investigation about what really went on with that. And they revealed that what happened was that Coca-Cola pushed on the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, which was set up by the World Economic Forum, to basically represent all advertisers. This is kind of like the Trusted News Initiative that our good friends at the BBC put together. And but instead of being focused on news content, GARM is focused on advertisers. And members of GARM are not allowed to take ads or to place ads. They're not allowed to advertise on sites that are not approved. Sites such as, perhaps, I speculate, London Real, who has been countering the narrative for a number of years, and certainly things that I say, and Joe Rogan on Spotify. So basically, Coca-Cola, who's busy in bed with the CDC, is carrying water for CDC by pushing on GARM to hit Joe Rogan and tell him that you got to withdraw this podcast with this crazy guy Malone, anti-vaxxer who knows nothing about vaccines, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, we're going to withdraw all of our advertising from Spotify. That's the game that gets played right now. And it shows kind of the ecosystem, again, of what Bobby and Make America Healthy Again and the president are up against. It is huge headwinds.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.